What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft and how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, the protest against Donald Trump and Elon actually went out worldwide. And many of them were protesters that were Americans that lived overseas, that conducted the protest in multiple countries. And the protest was at the same time it was going on here in the U.S. So here in this country, they said there were over 1,400 protests in different locations. But now millions around the world also went out and protested against Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And they did their own version of hands-off protest. And the demonstrators called for a hostile takeover and an attack on American rights and freedoms. Yeah, well, it's a lot of people upset. And I'm not surprised that it went beyond the U.S. I know I did see last night one they had in the U.K., and it was a lot of people that turned out for that one as well. I'm going to show you a video clip, and I'll be right back with the rest of my commentary.
Elon Musk has got to go!
Across the U.S. and the world, more than 1,400 protests on Saturday, according to organizers, telling U.S. President Donald Trump and his advisor Elon Musk, hands off.
Hands off Canada! Hands off Greenland!
People taking to the streets in Portugal, Germany, France, the U.K., and North America. Many are Americans living abroad.
I've never seen things worse in America than now.
Organized by pro-democracy groups such as labor unions, LGBTQ+ advocates, veterans, and election activists uniting against the Trump administration's policies on the economy, human rights, and more.
Hands off means restore what we've had as a democracy. In fact, when we were making our poster and we were saying what to have hands off, we had trouble limiting the list. The list got so long between free speech and reproductive rights and Social Security. I mean, we could have done 20 other things.
Hands off the UK!
In London's Trafalgar Square, one protester holds a sign reading, "Keep your tiny orange hands off the world." Hundreds of demonstrators came out in London, also in Frankfurt and Berlin, Germany.
We have to show solidarity with all the demonstrations in 1,000 cities today in the USA. We have to show that we are not in agreement with what is happening in the USA. People in Germany, people in Europe need to know that. This is not something that is happening with our approval, and we need to get onto our feet and out in the streets to show that this is something that will not pass.
All right. Now, they're saying the protest had a record number of people. So people gathered, and we already know they gathered all over a bunch of different cities here in the U.S., but also globally, to protest illegal billionaire, what they're calling Elon Musk, and President Donald Trump. And it was over 150 different organizations and civil rights group, labor unions, and it spanned across 1,300 locations across the U.S. But the U.S. was not the only one upset. about Donald Trump and the tariffs. So apparently it went way beyond that. I mean, you can't even imagine how massive this thing was in order for it to go worldwide. I did see the UK, as I said before, late the same day on Saturday, I saw they had a rally over in the UK, and I'm like, wow, you know, and it was a lot of people there. A lot of people really turned out over there. So they had one in Berlin, Germany. There was a protest there, one in London and Paris. They had a protest there. So it was all over, from what I understand, several different countries abroad where Americans lived. That's where they were protesting as well. So, y'all, we still don't have a real tally of how, excuse me, of how many people there was protesting across the U.S. I'm sure they'll come up with some figure somehow. But it was definitely big, and they said the last time they saw crowds this big was 2020, and they're talking about George Floyd, but they still don't have an estimate. But in Chicago alone, they're saying 30,000 people showed up. New York, 16,000. Florida, 36,000. In Kansas, 54,000. These are just estimates that they had came up with. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, 4,000 people. So, wow. Like I said, I'm sure it'll be a lot bigger than what we expected. Well, they really went out there, but you got to also understand this was planned out for weeks. Okay, so they're saying between New York City and Washington, D.C., they estimate 100,000 people in both locations. Yeah, I have to tell you, when I looked at footage of D.C., oh no, it was massive out there in D.C. New York, I didn't get to see it quite as well, but it was a lot of people out there. When I saw New York, they were just beginning to walk down the street. And so I just saw the front part of the protest. So, but they're saying they're estimating 100,000 people showed up for New York. So it'll be interesting to see if this is just a one-time thing, or are they going to plan on going out there multiple times? That remains to be seen. But, the weather is getting warmer, and people are going to have a lot of time on their hands, especially over the weekend, to do these marches. And we'll see how things go. But Donald Trump don't seem to be backing down from these tariffs. So, as it said, as I said before, the prices are going to hit the American people between the eyes. You're talking about hundreds of tariffs on virtually every nation, including places that don't even have people. That's what he did tariffs on, but we shall see how it goes. But for the American people, it's definitely not going to be a good thing. And, as the days go on, I will do videos on jobs that are laying off because of the tariffs. It's already happening. And this week, I'll see how many more will be laying off because they're going to have to pay these high tariffs on the American people. These businesses are also going to have to pay these big tariffs as well. And how many are going to go out of business too? Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.